The scream tore through the stillness of the small apartment, slicing into the night like glass shattering. Emily said, "No, please not like this," clutching her son Liam tightly against her chest, her heart hammering like a drum of fear. The living room, dimly lit by a single lamp, seemed to shrink as Mark's shadow loomed larger in the doorway, his face twisted in rage. He said, "You think you can keep him from me?" The slam of the door behind him shook the walls, leaving silence heavier than the sound itself. Emily stood frozen, her breath ragged, thoughts blurred by panic, the scent of dust and wood filling her lungs. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance, eerily in tune with her spiraling dread. Liam whimpered, "Mom, I'm scared," his small voice trembling, burrowing deeper into her arms. She whispered, "I won't let anything happen to you," even as her knees weakened, barely holding upright. The weight of betrayal pressed harder than the night, the storm outside echoing the storm within. She stumbled back, eyes darting to the door, expecting it to burst open again, but only emptiness stared back. This was the moment she realized nothing would ever be the same, survival her only path forward. Emily paced across the apartment, her bare feet pressing into the worn carpet. She whispered, "How did it come to this?" Her thoughts tangled in fear, rage, and despair. Liam's small breath steadied in the silence, finally drifting into sleep, yet she felt more awake than ever. The weight of years of sacrifice pressed hard against her chest, a reminder of every lonely night, every broken promise. Emily thought of the days when she had once trusted Mark, the way he smiled when Liam was born, and how quickly that warmth had been replaced with cold betrayal. Her reflection in the mirror caught her eye, a pale ghost of the woman she used to be. She muttered, "I can't let him win. I won't let Liam suffer for his mistakes." A storm rolled outside, thunder echoing the chaos within her. She pulled a blanket over Liam, her fingers brushing his blonde hair as though sealing a vow. In the silence, she began to plan her next steps, each thought sharper than the storm's lightning. Her heart trembled, but deep inside, a spark of defiance flickered alive. Emily sat by the window, staring at the rain sliding down the glass. She whispered, "You left us broken, but I won't break again." Her mind wandered to the sound of the slammed door, still echoing. She thought of how much Liam deserved safety, how fragile his little world had already become. The soft rhythm of rain lulled her deeper into thoughts of what lay ahead. Bills, custody, and whispers of doubt circled her. Emily pressed her hand to her heart, steadying its frantic beat. She remembered the promises she once believed in, and the bitter taste of betrayal returned. She muttered, "No one will decide my child's future but me." Lightning struck outside, filling the room with a harsh flash of white, reminding her of the power she must summon. Slowly, she pulled the curtain shut, sealing away the storm for now, sealing her vow. The kitchen clock ticked loud in the silence, each second echoing Emily's restless thoughts. She whispered, "Tomorrow, everything changes." Her eyes scanned the small apartment, every corner holding memories of love and loss. Liam stirred in his sleep, murmuring softly. Emily moved to his side, kneeling to kiss his forehead. She said softly, "I'll protect you, no matter what." Her heart trembled, but her resolve strengthened. She looked at the stack of unpaid bills on the counter, the envelopes heavy with dread. A storm rumbled outside, the thunder cracking like a warning. Emily clenched her fists, whispering, "They won't take you from me." Every muscle in her body ached, but every ounce of her soul sharpened with determination. Tonight was the last night she would allow fear to rule her. Emily sat back down, exhaustion weighing her body, but her mind refusing rest. She whispered, "This is the moment I change everything." The thought of courtrooms, lawyers, and accusations filled her with dread, but she refused to surrender. She thought of Mark's anger, his words dripping like venom. She thought of Liam's wide eyes begging for safety. Her own fears surged, but she pressed them back down. She said softly, "We'll rise from this. We have to." Her body trembled as lightning lit up the apartment again. She wrapped her arms around herself, fighting the cold air and the colder memories. The night stretched endlessly, but deep inside, she knew dawn would come. She closed her eyes for just a moment, whispering a vow that echoed in the silence. I will not turn back. The morning light crept through thin curtains, and Emily forced herself up from the couch, her body aching but her resolve unbroken. She whispered, a new day, a new fight, as she carefully tucked the blanket tighter around Liam. The boy stirred, his face softened in dreams, unaware of the battles waiting outside. Emily stared at the kitchen counter where unpaid bills sat like vultures, daring her to falter. She pulled her phone from the table, scrolling through missed calls from her boss, each one a reminder of the fragile ground she stood on. If I lose this job, I lose more than money, she muttered, brushing hair from her tired face. The storm had passed, but the weight of its aftermath clung to her like damp clothes. She picked up her bag, determination etched in her eyes, and whispered to herself, they'll see I won't break. With one last look at Liam's peaceful sleep, she whispered, I promise I'll keep you safe. Her hand lingered on the doorknob, heart racing with fear and courage. This day was not just survival, it was the start of her war. At the office, Emily forced a smile as fluorescent lights hummed overhead, masking her exhaustion. Her boss, Mr. Carter, said, You've missed deadlines, Emily. His voice was sharp, carrying little patience. Emily replied, I'll catch up, I promise, though her heart pounded with dread. Coworkers glanced sideways, whispers trailing her like shadows. Her hands trembled as she adjusted the stack of files, each one a reminder of her slipping grip on stability. Mr. Carter's frown deepened. We can't afford weakness here, he said. Emily's lips pressed tight, but fire sparked in her chest. She thought of Liam, his future hanging on her strength. She whispered, I won't lose this. The office felt colder, the sterile air suffocating her as she steadied her breath. Forcing calm, she said, I'll deliver better than before. Mr. Carter gave a curt nod and walked away, leaving her alone in judgment. Emily's hands clenched the papers, every heartbeat a vow to prove them wrong. During lunch break, Emily stepped outside, the crisp city air biting her skin. She leaned against the cold brick wall, inhaling deeply. Her phone buzzed. A message from her closest friend, Sarah, read, Call me, urgent. Emily dialed quickly, anxiety twisting in her stomach. Sarah's voice cracked through the phone. Emily, I need to tell you something. Emily said, Not now, Sarah, I can't handle more. Sarah insisted, It's about Mark. He's doing things behind your back. Emily's chest tightened, her pulse quickening. She asked, What do you mean? Sarah's silence dragged before she whispered, He's digging into your past. Things you wanted buried. Emily's world tilted, the city sounds around her fading into static. She whispered, No, not now, not when I'm fighting for Liam. Tears welled, but she blinked them back, clutching her phone tighter. Her mind screamed, fear and fury colliding. She whispered firmly, He won't take everything from me. Sarah said softly, You're stronger than you think. Emily leaned into the wall, breathing heavy, as resolve hardened within her trembling hands. That evening, Emily returned home, her body heavy, but her mind ablaze with Sarah's words. Liam ran to her, arms outstretched, saying, Mom, you're home. His innocence struck her like a knife and a blessing. She knelt, hugging him tightly, whispering, I'll always come home to you. The apartment felt smaller, the walls pressing in with unspoken threats. Emily spotted an envelope under the door. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a legal notice from Mark's attorney. Her breath caught, heart crashing against her ribs. Liam tugged her sleeve, asking, What is it, Mom? She forced a smile, whispering, Nothing you need to worry about. Her hand tightened around the paper, every word burning into her mind. She whispered, He's trying to take you away. Her reflection in the window showed fear battling defiance. She whispered firmly, Not this time, not ever again. Thunder rolled faintly outside, the storm mirroring the storm inside her chest. Night cloaked the apartment in shadows, yet Emily sat awake at the table, papers scattered like fallen leaves. Liam slept soundly nearby, unaware of the war his mother was preparing to fight. Emily whispered, "I can't afford fear now." Her eyes traced every word on the legal notice, her fingers tightening until the paper nearly tore. She imagined Mark's smirk, his confidence in her breaking. She said aloud, "You underestimated me." Her voice was sharp, but her hands trembled. She thought of Sarah's warning, of secrets waiting to resurface, and shivered. The weight of the past pressed, but her love for Liam pressed harder. She stood, walked to his bed and whispered, "You're my reason, my strength." She kissed his forehead, her tears landing softly against his blonde hair. Turning back to the table, she whispered fiercely, "This isn't the end. It's the beginning." Lightning flashed outside, illuminating her face like a portrait of resilience forged in fire. Emily's mornings had turned into a battlefield. Each step forward met with a new obstacle. She hurried Liam into his coat, saying, "We can't be late again, sweetheart." Liam replied softly, "I'm trying, Mom." His small voice carried both innocence and pressure. Outside, neighbors whispered as Emily passed, their eyes heavy with judgment. She clenched her jaw, telling herself, "Their stares won't break me." At school, a teacher glanced disapprovingly at Liam's late arrival, noting something on her clipboard. Emily said, "I'll make it right," though her stomach twisted in knots. She walked away, her heart pounding with fear that her failures would be used against her. Her phone buzzed with another message from Mark's lawyer, a cruel reminder of the fight ahead. Emily whispered, "You won't win," gripping the phone until her knuckles whitened. The city bustled around her, but every sound felt like an accusation. Still, beneath the weight, her love for Liam anchored her steps forward, unshaken by the storm surrounding her. Emily sat in a cramped cafe across from Sarah, her closest ally, yet today her friend's eyes carried unease. Sarah stirred her coffee nervously before saying, "Emily, I didn't want to tell you, but Mark's been speaking with someone at your job." Emily's heart froze. She whispered, "He's trying to ruin everything." Sarah nodded, guilt shadowing her face. "He's using your struggles against you," she said softly. Emily's hands shook, spilling coffee onto the table. "How much more can he take from me?" she whispered. Sarah reached across, gripping her hand, saying, "You're stronger than his lies." Emily inhaled sharply, her voice steady despite trembling lips. "If he wants war, then he'll have it." The cafe chatter blurred, replaced by the pounding of Emily's heart. For a moment, silence settled between them, both women weighed down by the reality of betrayal. Emily straightened, determination burning in her eyes. She whispered, "This isn't the end. It's the beginning of my fight." At work, Emily typed furiously, deadlines crushing down on her. Every keystroke felt like defiance against the storm threatening her stability. Mr. Carter stood over her shoulder, muttering, "Your performance must improve." Emily's chest tightened, but she said calmly, "It will." The office felt colder than ever, whispers darting around cubicles like blades. She heard faint laughs, co-workers exchanging glances. Her phone buzzed again with a message from Mark. "You can't win." Her vision blurred, rage and fear colliding. Emily whispered, "Watch me," before pushing harder against the tide. Hours passed in a blur of stress, her hands aching, but she refused to stop. Every line of text she typed was a silent war cry, each completed task a step toward survival. By evening, her body slumped in exhaustion, yet her spirit flickered with defiance. She whispered to herself, "He won't take everything." Her eyes burned with fatigue, but she pressed on, knowing this fight extended far beyond her desk. That night, Emily returned home, exhaustion painted across her face. Liam rushed into her arms, saying, "I missed you, Mom." She held him tightly, whispering, "I missed you too." His embrace was a balm to her wounds, but the envelope waiting on the table shattered the fragile peace. Another legal document, demanding custody hearings sooner than she'd prepared for. Emily's chest tightened, her knees weakening as she read the words. Liam looked up, asking, "Why do you look sad?" She forced a smile, whispering, Just tired, sweetheart. As he returned to his toys, Emily sat at the table, her hands shaking. Her voice cracked. Why must he fight so dirty? Her reflection in the darkened window showed a woman battered yet unbroken. Emily whispered, For you, Liam, I'll fight harder. The weight of the day crushed her, but her vow remained clear. Her love was the shield, her courage the weapon. The war had only just begun. Late at night, Emily sat alone, papers scattered before her like battle plans. Her hands rubbed her temples, eyes heavy, but mind racing. She whispered, I can't let him win. Memories of Mark's cruelty replayed, each word like poison. She thought of Sarah's warnings, of whispers in the office, of the teacher's disapproval. Every corner of her life seemed under attack, yet she refused to yield. Rising, she walked to Liam's room, watching him sleep peacefully, his small chest rising and falling. She whispered, You're my strength. Her tears slipped silently, tracing lines of pain and love. Returning to the table, she gathered the papers, stacking them with deliberate precision. Tomorrow, I fight harder, she said aloud, her voice firm despite trembling lips. The clock ticked relentlessly, but Emily's resolve grew louder than time. She whispered, This storm will not destroy us. Her eyes, though weary, burned with defiance as lightning cracked the night sky outside. Emily sat at the kitchen table, head buried in her hands, the clock ticking too loud in the silence. Liam whispered, Mom, are you okay? She forced a smile, replying softly, I'm fine, sweetheart. A knock at the door startled her. She hesitated, her heart pounding, before opening it. A tall man stood there, unfamiliar yet strangely familiar. He said, Emily, it's me, Daniel. Her breath caught. The name hung heavy. Daniel, the brother she hadn't seen in over a decade. She whispered, You left. Why now? His eyes darkened with regret. I've been watching from a distance, waiting for the right time. Emily's chest burned with anger and confusion. You don't get to just appear, she snapped. Daniel replied, I know, but you need me now, and I need to tell you the truth. Liam peeked from behind her, wide-eyed and silent. The air thickened with tension, the weight of past wounds mixing with the shock of his arrival. Emily's hands trembled as she whispered, This changes everything. Emily sat across from Daniel at the table, her arms crossed tightly. Why come back now? She demanded. Daniel's gaze lowered, his voice low. Because Mark isn't fighting alone. He has help, and you're not prepared. Emily's breath caught, anger rising. You left me to fight alone for years, she snapped. Daniel nodded, guilt etched into every line of his face. I thought distance would protect you, but now your past is being used against you. Emily whispered, What do you know? His eyes met hers, heavy with secrets. More than you want to hear, he said. Liam sat quietly nearby, clutching his toy, sensing the gravity of the moment. Emily's chest tightened, her thoughts spiraling between betrayal and desperate need for answers. She whispered, If you're here, then you'd better help. Daniel's expression hardened. I will. But the truth comes first. Silence hung like a blade, cutting into every corner of the room. The room grew heavier as Daniel finally spoke. Emily, Mark knows about the debts, the mistakes, the nights you couldn't hold it together. Emily's face burned with shame. She whispered, How could you know that? Daniel's jaw tightened. Because I was there, watching from a distance, too afraid to step in. Emily's voice broke with anger. You watched me drown. Daniel's voice cracked, and I hated myself every day for it. Liam looked between them, whispering, What's happening? Emily knelt by her son, whispering, Nothing you need to fear, sweetheart. Daniel's tone shifted, firmer. Mark will use everything, Emily, but I can help you fight back. Emily's breath shook, torn between trust and fury. Why should I trust you now? She demanded. Daniel whispered, Because this time I won't run. Her eyes locked on him, the scars of their shared past bleeding into the fragile hope of redemption. Emily stood by the window, staring at the storm clouds rolling outside, her reflection fractured by streaks of rain. Daniel's voice carried behind her. "You can't face this alone. Mark's lawyer has dirt you buried long ago." Her chest tightened. She whispered, "Then tell me what I'm up against." Daniel stepped closer, his tone steady. "There are records of the night you nearly lost everything. The system won't be kind." Emily turned sharply, fire in her eyes. "I've built my life back piece by piece. They won't take Liam from me." Daniel's expression softened with admiration. "That strength, it's why you'll win. But you'll need me to survive this." Emily's hands clenched at her sides, her voice trembling. "If you betray me again, there's no coming back." Daniel placed a hand over his heart. "I won't." The air between them pulsed with both unhealed wounds and the fragile thread of trust weaving itself back together. That night, Emily sat on the couch, Liam asleep against her side. She whispered, "I won't let them take you." Daniel sat across the room, silent but watchful. His presence felt both foreign and necessary. Emily's thoughts swirled with memories of their broken family, of nights filled with shouting and doors slamming. She whispered, "We've both carried scars." Daniel's voice was low, steady. "Maybe together we can heal them." Emily's eyes burned with tears, her chest tight with both anger and reluctant hope. She said firmly, "Then prove it. Help me protect him." Daniel nodded slowly, the weight of his own guilt heavy in his eyes. The room fell quiet, save for the soft hum of rain outside. Emily stroked Liam's blonde hair, whispering a vow only he could hear. "I will never let you feel the pain I endured." The night stretched long, but for the first time she did not feel entirely alone in the fight. Emily stood before the mirror, her reflection both familiar and foreign, the weight of her fight carved into her face. She whispered, "I have to be stronger than I've ever been." Daniel entered quietly, his voice steady. "The hearing is close, Emily. You must prepare for the worst." Emily's eyes narrowed. "I've faced worse already," she replied. Liam peeked in from the hallway, rubbing his sleepy eyes, asking, "Mom, are you scared?" Emily knelt and hugged him tightly. "I'm brave because of you," she whispered. Daniel's gaze softened as he watched, guilt and admiration warring in his expression. Emily rose, her voice firm. "If Mark thinks I'll crumble, he's wrong." She pressed her hands against the counter, steadying herself as fear churned beneath her courage. Daniel whispered, "This time, you won't stand alone." Emily looked at him, her lips trembling, but she nodded slowly. "Then let's fight," she whispered. In the lawyer's office, papers stacked like towers of judgment, Emily sat with her fists clenched. "Miss Reynolds, her attorney, said firmly, "Mark is building a case that paints you unstable. We must counter with proof of your strength." Emily's breath shook. "I've given everything for Liam." Ms. Reynolds nodded. "Then we show them the mother you are." Daniel leaned forward. "And I'll testify to what I know. I should have spoken years ago, but I won't stay silent now." Emily's heart raced, torn between relief and distrust. She whispered, "You'd really do that?" Daniel replied, "I owe you everything." Emily's eyes welled with tears, but she quickly blinked them away, whispering, "Then let's make sure they see the truth." The lawyer slid documents across the desk, her tone calm yet urgent. "This won't be easy, but you have a chance." Emily exhaled slowly, her chest heavy, but her voice clear. "For Liam, I'll do whatever it takes." That evening, Emily walked with Liam through the quiet park, autumn leaves crunching beneath their feet. Liam asked softly, "Mom, why are people trying to take me away?" Her throat tightened. She knelt beside him, whispering, "Because some people don't understand how strong our love is. But I'll never let you go." Liam hugged her tightly, whispering, "I trust you." Tears blurred her vision, but Emily smiled, kissing his forehead. Daniel watched from a bench nearby, his expression heavy with regret and hope. Emily rose, holding Liam's hand, whispering, "We'll face this storm together." The cool wind brushed her cheeks, carrying with it both fear and the fragile taste of resilience. Every step forward felt like defiance against the darkness closing in. Emily whispered again, more to herself than him, "They won't break us." Her voice, soft but unshakable, echoed in the crisp evening air, binding her vow to the world itself. Back home, Emily spread documents across the table, her hands steady despite her trembling heart. Daniel sat opposite her, pointing to sections of the paperwork. "Ah, this is where Mark's lies can be dismantled," he said firmly. Emily traced the words with her finger, whispering, "He's twisted everything." Daniel replied, "That's why we expose him." Liam wandered over, asking, "Are you working again?" Emily smiled gently, "Yes, sweetheart, but this work is to keep you safe." Liam nodded solemnly before returning to his toys. Emily's chest swelled with pride and fear, her voice firmer now. "I'll prove to them who I am." Daniel nodded, determination burning in his eyes. "And I'll be by your side." Emily exhaled deeply, shoulders straightening as the storm inside her settled into focus. "Then we fight smart," she whispered. The papers, once symbols of fear, now became weapons in her hands. Late at night, Emily sat alone after Daniel left, the papers neatly stacked in front of her. Her body trembled, but her heart was iron. She whispered, "I am not the woman I was before. I will not be broken." She glanced at Liam asleep in his bed, his small chest rising with steady breaths. "You are my world," she whispered. Images of Mark's sneer flashed in her mind, each one igniting more fire. She whispered, "Your lies end here." She placed her hand over the stack of documents, feeling their weight not as a burden, but as armor. Thunder rumbled faintly outside, echoing her defiance. Emily closed her eyes, whispering, "Tomorrow, the war begins." A single tear slid down her cheek, not of fear but of resolve. She rose, walking toward Liam's room, pausing at the doorway. "I'll never stop fighting for you," she whispered. The night seemed to lean in, carrying her vow into its shadows. The courtroom buzzed with hushed voices, the weight of judgment pressing down like heavy air. Emily sat at the plaintiff's table, her hands folded tightly, knuckles white. Liam's custody rested in this room. She whispered, "This is it," steadying her breath. Across the aisle, Mark smirked, his eyes sharp with arrogance. He leaned toward his lawyer, whispering something that made him chuckle. Emily's stomach twisted, but she lifted her chin. Daniel sat behind her, his steady presence a silent shield. Ms. Reynolds leaned closer, whispering, "Stay calm, answer only what's asked." Emily nodded, her throat dry but her resolve strong. The judge entered, robe flowing, eyes sharp and commanding. Silence dropped heavy, all whispers crushed beneath authority. Emily's heart pounded, but she locked eyes on Liam, sitting quietly with a social worker nearby. She whispered, "For you, I will not falter." The gavel struck, echoing like thunder, and the war truly began. Mark's attorney rose, his voice cutting through the silence. "Your Honor, my client seeks custody due to Emily's instability." Emily's breath caught as he painted her life in cruel strokes, late arrivals, financial struggles, whispers twisted into weapons. Emily's hands trembled, but Ms. Reynolds stood, voice sharp. "Objection. Struggles do not equal unfit. She has fought to provide stability." The judge nodded slightly, eyes narrowing. Emily swallowed hard, whispering, "He won't define me." Mark leaned back in his chair, smug satisfaction etched across his face. Emily's gaze flicked to Liam, who fidgeted nervously under the social worker's watchful eyes. Her chest tightened, but she steadied herself. Ms. Reynolds placed a reassuring hand on her arm. Emily whispered, "I'm ready." She rose slowly as the judge nodded for her testimony to begin. Every step to the witness stand felt like walking into fire, but she carried her love for Liam like armor. Emily sat at the stand, her hands gripping the edges, voice trembling at first. "I've sacrificed everything for Liam," she said. Mark's attorney pounced. "But you've struggled with bills, missed deadlines, correct?" Emily's chest tightened, but she steadied her voice. "Yes, I've struggled like many parents, but I've never stopped fighting for my son." Her words echoed, her gaze firm. Mark's smirk faltered slightly. Miss Reynolds stood, her tone unwavering. "Emily, why do you fight so hard?" Emily's eyes burned with tears as she whispered, "Because Liam is my heart. Every job I worked, every sleepless night, every choice, it was all for him." Liam's small eyes shimmered, watching her intently. The courtroom quieted, the power of her words sinking in. Emily breathed deeply, her shame turning into strength. She whispered, "I am not perfect, but I am the mother who will never give up." The silence afterward was louder than any accusation. Daniel was called to testify, his steps heavy with guilt and resolve. He looked at Emily, then at the judge. His voice was steady. "I abandoned her once, but I will not stay silent now. I have seen the sacrifices she's made. Emily is a devoted mother." Mark's attorney sneered. "You've been absent for years. Why should anyone believe you?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "Because truth does not vanish with distance. I failed as a brother, but I will not fail as a witness." Emily's chest swelled with mixed pain and gratitude. Liam's eyes brightened, whispering softly, "Uncle Daniel." The courtroom shifted, Mark's smirk fading further. Daniel continued, his voice firm. "Mark has tried to twist her struggles into weakness, but I've seen them for what they are, proof of her strength." Emily pressed a trembling hand to her lips, whispering, "Thank you." The judge's gaze lingered, absorbing the weight of Daniel's words. The final moments of testimony hung heavy in the courtroom. Mark was called to the stand, his voice dripping with false sincerity. "I only want what's best for Liam," he said. But cracks appeared as Ms. Reynolds cross-examined. "Well, is what's best lying about Emily's past, threatening her stability?" Mark's face reddened, his words stumbling. Emily sat frozen, her heart racing as truth began to unravel his mask. The judge's eyes narrowed, catching the inconsistencies. Liam leaned forward, clutching his toy, hope flickering in his eyes. Emily whispered under her breath, "It's ending." Mark raised his voice, desperation seeping through. "She can't do this alone." Emily stood suddenly, her voice ringing clear. "I'm not alone. I have my son, and I have the truth." The room stilled. The gavel struck once more, the air vibrating with finality. Emily's knees weakened, but her spirits soared. She whispered, "We're almost free." The gavel struck one last time, sealing the judgment. The judge's voice carried across the room. "Custody is granted to Emily." Her breath caught, tears burning her eyes as the weight of the words settled in. She whispered, "We did it," her voice trembling with relief. Mark slumped in his chair, his anger dulled into defeat, gaze fixed on the floor. Emily's chest swelled with triumph and sorrow, scars of the battle etched into her heart. Liam leaned forward, whispering, "Mom, we won?" Emily nodded, tears falling freely as she whispered, "Yes, sweetheart, we won." Daniel exhaled heavily, his shoulders easing, pride and regret mixing in his eyes. Miss Reynolds gave a small nod, her voice calm. Justice prevailed today. Emily closed her eyes for a moment, whispering softly, "This is just the beginning of healing." The courtroom noise faded. All that mattered was Liam's hopeful gaze. Outside the courthouse, sunlight broke across Emily's face, crisp air filling her lungs with promise. Liam gripped her hand tightly, whispering, "Can we go home now?" She smiled gently, whispering back, "Yes, home." Daniel joined them on the steps, his voice quiet with regret. "I should have been here long ago," he said. Emily looked at him, her eyes torn between old wounds and forgiveness. She whispered, "But you're here now." Liam smiled at Daniel, saying softly, "Uncle, you helped us." The three stood together, the chaos of cameras and voices around them fading into background noise. Emily focused only on Liam's warm hand in hers, her voice steady. "This is our fresh start." Daniel's reply came gently, "And I'll stand by you this time." Emily nodded, her heart lighter as the storm that haunted her began to fade. That evening, Emily returned to the apartment with Liam, the air inside calmer than ever before. Liam rushed to his room exclaiming, "Mom, it feels different now." Emily smiled, whispering, "Because we're free." She sat on the couch, her body heavy with exhaustion, her heart lighter than it had been in years. Daniel sat nearby, his voice quiet. "You've proven yourself stronger than anyone could have imagined." Emily turned to him, whispering, "I didn't do this alone." Liam poked his head out of his room, his laughter soft but bright. Emily whispered, "That sound, it's all I need." Daniel nodded, his expression solemn. "You deserve peace." Emily's eyes closed briefly, whispering, "Peace doesn't erase the scars, but it makes them easier to carry." For the first time in years, she felt the apartment breathe with hope instead of despair. Later that night, Emily tucked Liam into bed, brushing his blonde hair from his forehead. He whispered, "Will you always be here?" Her voice cracked as she answered, "Always, my love." Liam smiled, whispering, "Then I'm not scared anymore." Emily's tears fell softly as she kissed his forehead. "You'll never be alone," she whispered. She sat by his side, listening to his breathing slow into sleep. The quiet of the apartment wrapped around her, no longer suffocating but comforting. Daniel's voice carried from the living room. You did it, Emily." She whispered back, "No, we did it." For a long while, she stayed in that room, her heart beating in rhythm with her son's steady breaths. Shadows played across the walls, but they no longer frightened her. Instead, they felt like silent witnesses to the vow she had fulfilled. Emily stood at the kitchen window, the city lights glowing beyond the glass. The apartment was silent except for Liam's soft breaths in his room. She whispered, "We're stronger now, and we'll never stop fighting." A smile, real and unforced, spread across her face. She touched Liam's door gently, whispering, "We'll be okay." For the first time, her reflection in the glass didn't show fear, but resilience. Daniel entered quietly, his voice low. "Tomorrow will be hard, but tonight you can rest." Emily nodded, whispering, "Tonight, I finally can." She walked into Liam's room, sitting beside him, brushing his hair gently as he stirred but did not wake. Her heart steadied with each breath he took. The night stretched long, but it no longer threatened her. It carried promise, fragile but real. She whispered her final vow, "Our future begins now."